Last October, Shopify Rebellion shocked the world after winning the $1 million Halo World Championship, and during that run, half of the winning roster was using the Razer Wolverine V3 8K, including Cycle, the 2025 season MVP, and Lashot, widely considered one of the best aimers in Halo. The controller itself is constantly marketed as for the pro, but I wondered, what does that actually mean for the other 99% of players? And also, does 8K pulling rate make that much of a difference outside the highest levels of competition? Now that the tournament edition 8K is discounted down to $95, this was the perfect opportunity to try it out. And after weeks of consistent use, I feel like it's finally time to talk about it. First, we'll break down the specs as listed on the box, then we'll go over what isn't as obvious but what actually matters in-game. Starting off with the buttons, like many pro controllers, we have 4 mappable paddles on the back, so you can use your face buttons without taking your hands off the thumbsticks. Personally, I only use the top 2 for A and X, but there's extras if you need it. On top of that, there's 2 extra buttons near the triggers that Razer calls claw bumpers. Even if you don't play claw, I'd highly recommend trying them out as a replacement for your zoom and shoot buttons. Since they're placed more towards the center, you get a solid grip on the controller that makes micro adjustments feel a lot nicer while aiming. As for the buttons themselves, they're super satisfying to press and sound great since they click like a mouse. Moving on to the thumbsticks, if you're still getting stick drift in 2026, you are a sad little chud. Unlike the regular Wolverine V3, the 8K version has upgraded from Hall Effect sticks to TMR sticks. Sure, you get more control from higher stick resolution, but most importantly, you won't get unfixable stick drift. As a consumer, it's great having peace of mind knowing that the product you spent money on will last longer than just a few months. Not only are the sticks reliable, but they come with a pair of swappable sticks that I instantly switched over to. That alone justified the upgrade for me, because compared to my old G7 Pro, the 8K only costs about $15 more, and that's exactly how much I paid for Control Freaks anyway. Just like every pro controller, the Wolverine V3 has software that lets you remap your buttons and set dead zones. But on the off chance you ever end up getting a little bit of stick drift, it's completely fixable since the software lets you calibrate your sticks in a couple of seconds. However, the main reason for having the app is that it's required for changing your pulling rate. There's multiple options ranging from 250Hz to 8K, but unless you're prepping for a LAN event that'll be played on Xbox, or you just want to purposely handicap yourself with more delay, I don't see any reason to dip below 1000Hz. So that brings us to the big question: does 8K pulling rate really make a difference? On paper, 1000Hz gives a millisecond of input delay, while 8K brings it all the way down to 125 thousandths of a millisecond. Some could argue that there's diminishing returns with input delay being that low, but within a few games of trying it out, I actually felt the difference. My right stick when aiming just felt so responsive with this controller, and I noticed this especially when I was sniping. Small adjustments while aiming felt easier to make, and I was hitting some shots I normally wouldn't hit. I'm not saying it's going to make you a generational talent overnight, but it definitely felt like I had a slight advantage going into gunfights. And I guess other people in my games were feeling the 8K too, because I was getting more accusations than usual. But as much as I love this controller, there's one major issue that you guys need to know about. The port where the cable goes into sucks. Like if you move it just a little bit at the base, it'll disconnect. This is my only complaint, and it was pretty easy to fix for me since I had old cables lying around, but I can see how this could be a deal breaker for other people. Now, to answer whether or not you should buy this controller, it comes down to one simple thing. If you care about improving your aim in FPS games, even by just a little bit, I'd highly recommend checking this out. You don't have to be a pro to feel the difference in responsiveness between this and other controllers. The features are stacked, the new price is very competitive, and after experiencing 8K, it feels like this should be the new standard, and I can't see myself ever going back. Anyways, drop a sub if you thought this was helpful, and I'll catch y'all later.